All right, everybody, welcome to the Nimble Urban Survivor. I'm your host, Nick Catelli. Hope you're having a good month, good day, good year, good whatever. We have a really good show today because this is an important medical show. So if Dr. Oz is listening, eat your heart out because Nick Catelli just entered the medical show game. Today's topic comes from someone named Steven. They say, Nick, how do I survive cannabis, which is a French Latin professional term for marijuana? If you don't know what marijuana is, you're probably not from the, planet Earth. But to help me answer that question, I went out, I did some scouting, and I found a real life, I would say, cannabis farmer. Mark, are you there?
Yes, sir. Nick Catelli.
Now, Mark, what is like the correct term? Like, are you a cannabis farmer? What would it be?
I'd say more of a hobbyist, probably.
A hobbyist?
Because I'm not like making money off it.
Do you make any money off of it?
That's the black market, and it's illegal still in Missouri. So
is it really? Okay, so it's legal in Illinois, though, right?
It is legal in Illinois, and as a medical card holder in Missouri, I am able to grow my own medicine.
Okay, so you got the medical card. Well, that's good. So that it's not like a black market kind of thing. You're more of just like, I would say you're a pharmacist then. Would you like agree with that?
If pharmacists were synthetic or, producing their own drugs, that would make a little more sense. But
well, I mean, we don't know that they're not. I mean, I can't confirm that they're not, but I also can't confirm that they, are. So I would say you never know. I mean, I go to the CVS and I see the young lady behind the counter dishing out the drugs, and I think, you know what? She could probably grow some good old weed. I'm not going to lie. She looks like the type. I mean, that's the thing nowadays is like, Mark, I mean, I don't want to say it, but, you're kind of your Midwestern kind of dad type. Normally people wouldn't stereotype you as like a weed grower, would they?
Oh, no, absolutely not. I tell, I'm kind of fresh back into the dating scene and stuff and kind of tell women about this. And they're just like, oh, wow. Didn't really expect that one coming from you.
Really? I feel like that's the same reaction you would give if you told women like you were a porn star. They'd be like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, because, in reality, they want to be like ashamed of it. But then you can tell in the back of their minds, they're like, well, I have to see what's going on below the equator because something's adding up here. So really quick. So let's talk about it. As you know, I'm in Los Angeles, California, where like weed is like literally, I think it's going to just take over as our state flower. I don't even know what our state flower is right now. But I will say that everybody partakes, and I partake too. But I'm more of just like consuming it. Like I use like micro doses of like mints and like a cinnamon spray. I'm probably your like least cool weed guy probably on the market, if that makes like any sense.
It does, and that's becoming like ever more popular now with people microdosing. I mean, hell, look at like Denver and people microdosing psilocybin.
Yeah, I feel like it's funny because it's like now you've got like all these like white suburban dads like getting into the weed game and totally just ruining it for all of like the cool hip people that like set it up to begin with and did the black markets, and now suburbia is just crushing the industry. But aside from that, I mean, let's talk about, obviously you're growing your own weed. What does a world without weed look like to you if we didn't have it?
I imagine everyone would just resort to alcohol and there'd be a lot more fighting.
Well, I mean, you see kind of like what's going on like Portland and, and Wisconsin and all that. I feel like if you just ran through the streets, just holding on a big old thing of weed and just pumping it into the air, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like that's the easiest way to kind of subdue the mini protests and riots that are going on right now. Everybody just needs to get blazed and just chill out for a moment.
Right. And I'm in St. Louis, so, we've witnessed that for years now.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely insane. People just need to chill the fuck out for real.
I know. I think that's pretty much why they started like making weed more accessible to people, because they're like, you know what? It's not like for medicinal purposes. I think people just need to chill the fuck out. And that's why they released it under the cover of like, it helps. Because in reality, it's funny. I don't know what it's like for you, but when I go into a weed store, it's so interesting now because going to a weed store in LA kind of reminds me of like going to the Apple store. And it's like super professional. There's no tie-dye. They got like uniforms. The weed is on display like you're looking at like iPhones and MacBooks. And the whole sales pitch is that it's just good for pain and anxiety. And that's it.
Yeah, I have to go to Illinois because we actually don't even have dispensaries yet. They're still kind of rolling them out because Missouri is just slow with everything.
And what are those
But
dispensaries like?
in Illinois, you don't really get to see the product. You kind of just order it beforehand and just pick it up.
Is it kind of like the old school 90s method where it's like guys and like white guys in dreadlocks and tie-dye and like you have to go through like the weird hempy back room to get it?
No, it's not sketchy at all. It's definitely not like from buying from your neighbor where you have to like go and make casual conversation with the guy and you don't really want to be there and he's trying to push, cocaine on you or something.
No,
It's
okay, so they throw in the cocaine too.
no, it's really professional but then you look at these people and you're still like, they're getting high, so they're like your people.
The European, like, what do you mean, like in this?
Like in this instance, my people, like the kind of people that like to get high, but they have jobs still.
Yeah, that's good. Like business like I would say it's like business casual weed smokers is what you're trying to say.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's funny though because I don't know what it's like the sales pitch. I can tell you the sales pitch for me in California is it's all based around like, oh, if you have pain, smoke weed. Oh, if you have anxiety, smoke weed. I'd really just appreciate it more if they were just like, dude, if you're looking to like just have a good time, get blazed, watch some YouTube music and eat some Cheetos, this is probably the right store for you. But I like that they try to sell it as like, no, we're not selling weed to get high. We're selling it because we're, a pharmacy or something. I don't know if you've experienced that like in the Midwest, but in California, it's all about like the pharmacy experience.
Right. And I went to Vegas a few years ago, right whenever they started recreational.
Yeah.
And I told the guy, I said, I just want to get high, man. And he's like, okay, I got the stuff for you.
Yeah. I'm the same way, but I'm not as brave as you. I always try to like sound like, well, I don't know. I'd like to get high, but I don't want to be too high, but I still want to be high enough that if I want to go to Taco Bell, I can still drive and not get arrested high. Like, I just want to be high enough to where, like, if my son wants me to read him a book, I can make it at least through 5 pages of the book. Like, that's the kind of high I want. Whereas then I feel like you're a little bit more braver than me. So that's a good thing. So then tell me about, like, how did you get started? Because how long have you been a weed, I guess, cannabis farmer now?
Me and my dad started doing it about a year and a half or 2 years ago, like right when Missouri legalized it.
Really? So this is like a father and son kind of project. That's amazing to me. Because I'm not gonna lie, the only father and son moments I think I've ever had with my dad is like we used to kind of like watch Law and Order together. And that's really about it. You're getting to make cannabis. I'm not gonna lie, I'm super jealous right now. And how did that start? Like, how does that, you're just kind of sitting around and is it just kind of like, you're like, you know what, Dad, we should grow weed. And he's like, you know what, son, we should.
I mean, that's pretty much how it went. I've been using it since I graduated college, really. I was a drinker in college, partied, didn't really smoke cannabis very often. But once I graduated, I was like, this alcohol just makes me feel shitty.
Yeah.
And I needed something to make me feel good. So I started smoking marijuana and man, life really took off. I just feel better. It's just, everything is just better on weed.
Yeah. Well, it's 0 calories. I think that's the important part. Cause I don't know what it's like for you now. It's like, I can't drink beer anymore just because it's like, I feel just full. Like before I even try to get drunk off of beer, I just feel like I'm like, I need to go run like a mile or do some sit-ups or something. Like I feel terrible. But with cannabis, it's like, dude, it's like Snackwells from the 90s. 0 calories. I'm loving it. So then my question is like, you start your own weed business. Did you have to get a license or anything for that? Or is this kind of like an underground operation?
No, it's all legitimate.
Okay.
Missouri charges $100 a year for you to be a cultivator.
That's it? Just $100?
Yeah, it's $100 and then a $25 patient fee.
Okay.
So, yeah. And then
that's not bad at all.
There's like a don't ask, don't tell policy as far as like getting your seeds though, because seeds aren't exactly legal.
Yeah, because
So
I was gonna talk about that. It's like, how do you get the seeds to like start out?
you just buy them online like everything else.
Really? Now is that like an eBay thing? Like you just go on eBay, or is that like Craigslist? You're buying the seeds?
It's not. It's more just like these sites that run out of like Oregon and Colorado and places, or some places in Europe that just
And they'll
sell.
just mail you just like a. Well, do they just send you like an envelope of seeds? Is it like a package or
Yeah, exactly. It just comes USPS. It's
you just?
absolutely insane. Really, is like it's basically getting drugs through the mail, but you have to wait 3 months for your drugs.
That's kind of funny. I like that. That's the loophole for it. So I guess if you wanted to like get cocaine, you just got to like get the seeds to grow the plants, and that's okay. That's funny to me that you can like, oh yeah, it's okay to mail the seeds of drugs, but you can't, mail the growed product. So then, what kind of seeds did you start out with when you were going out? Because I know there's like 50 billion different types of
Oh
weed
yeah,
nowadays.
it's really becoming like the beer market, really, with all the microbreweries and stuff that
Yeah.
popped up. It's kind of I like to compare it to kind of the same thing, except it tastes better.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
And now that they like legalized it, it's like 10 times more potent.
oh, it's
Cause
more
like,
potent. It's
yeah.
just and you're getting, and especially like living in California, you're getting like the top of the line shit too.
Yeah. We have like top shelf medical grade. This is probably stuff that they've been working on in like a CIA lab for like 10 years. Because I can tell you, like, I've taken just like a mint that has maybe like 1 little milligram in it, right? Like it's nothing.
Hmm.
And I mean, like after it kicks in, I'm like, I mean, it's not like a long high, but it's definitely like, oh my God, like I'm feeling good today.
Right. I never do well with edibles ever.
Really? See, I can't smoke because I don't feel like I'm a cool guy and be able to smoke. And I don't vape because I don't wear flannel and have a beard. So edibles is like the way for me to go.
Yeah, and that's a lot of people do turn to them a lot, a lot of older people and stuff too, which I'm not,
Yeah.
you're still a young guy, but I understand not wanting to put that shit in your lungs too. But I've smoked cigarettes for 15 years too, so
Yeah.
uh, I don't really care what I put in my body. I just want to enjoy it.
That's good. I respect that. I appreciate that. Just live your life. I think that's kind of like the motto here of the episode. So going back to it though, you get the seeds, and then do you have like a greenhouse set up? Like, is this like you did it in the basement? You want the lamps? Like, tell me about like, if you're setting it up, what's the best way to do it? Because I know in the Midwest, obviously you guys get winter, which is a complete shit show. Obvious, and also you have like the strong humidity and thunderstorms. So it's like I feel like growing weed in Missouri isn't like the ideal place weather-wise. So how do you survive that?
No, it's really tough. You only really have a few months out of the year from like June till right about now is when people would be harvesting outdoor plants in
And then
Missouri.
do you do outdoor or do you do indoor?
I actually have been growing in my shed.
Oh, okay. And is that like you've like converted into a greenhouse or is just you just got it in the shed?
It's next to the lawnmower.
Nice. I like that. Pretty
literally,
casual.
literally next to the lawnmower. So, yeah, whenever I had a fiance that was living with me and the children and stuff, she wouldn't let me grow indoors. So I was like, well, I'm gonna turn the shed into my weed shed, and she's like, oh, that's cool. So,
And then what'd you do? Did you just like build some just like beds like you would grow flowers? I mean, like give me like a little bit of the idea of here of like what your setup is.
no, basically, it's just a few 5 gallon buckets. You can have up to 6 flowering plants in Missouri.
Okay, so you're growing these out of buckets then. It's not like because I imagine like a greenhouse and there's just like rows and rows, and you're like in a white biohazard suit, that's connected to like a wire or something. I don't know. I'm thinking that sorts, but this is just lawnmower and a big bucket of weed next to it.
That's pretty much what it comes
It's
down
just
to.
it's just simple. Like it's a simple homegrown product.
And then I got like my nutrients and stuff, and it really kind of looks like a meth lab with some plants in it.
So wait, what are the nutrients that
Uh,
you
there's just so many out there. There's, it just gives them, nitrogen and things like that just to help the plant through different cycles of the growth process.
Is it like, can I just go to like Ace Hardware and get some fertilizer and that's it? Or are we talking like composting, or do they have to like take like a special type of like fertilizer for cannabis?
I mean, they're marketed towards cannabis, so you can pretty much grow anything with it, I think.
Hmm.
But I go
And
to
is that
like
you bought that online too?
I buy most of my shit on Amazon because it's cheap.
Oh, so you can buy this stuff off Amazon.
Oh yeah, Amazon sells everything. You can buy
See,
meth pipes on Amazon. I mean,
that's
I don't smoke
amazing
meth,
to
but
me. Yeah. I mean, but now, like, if you're like, well, I don't smoke meth, but I'm a, meth pipe enthusiast. I like to just have a big display case of meth pipes. I go to Amazon. That's amazing to me because, I'm thinking like Craigslist, we're meeting behind an alley. That's how I buy, my meth pipe or my weed. But nowadays, it's just like it's so corporate and so easy. Like anybody can do it. So, the fertilizer, you get all that, you grow the product, and then what, because I don't understand the process of like how it goes from like plant to like I'm rolling it up in a joint. Like, for me in, like, how does that work?
right. So the plant grows flowers just like any other plant grows flowers. Just these ones are more enjoyable. So basically, I mean, your plant is when it's growing, it's called the vegetative stage. And basically, the plant is just growing its ass off, just getting ready for that flower stage so that it gets fertilized by a male because the females are the ones that produce flowers.
Okay, wait. So you're telling me there's male and female weed species? Like, I never knew
Yes.
that.
Yeah, there is. The females are the ones that produce flowers, and the males you want to get rid of because if they pollinate the females, then you get a bunch of weed with seeds in it. Notice how your weed doesn't have seeds in it anymore. But when you
Yeah.
were buying it in high school, it probably did.
Okay. Oh, wow. I never knew that. So it's pretty much just that men can pretty ruin the weed industry is what we're saying here.
Yeah, that's I think the best way you could put it. Yes.
We're just planting our seeds in those women and just ruining it for everyone. I don't know if that's kind of like an analogy for like having kids. You're like, we had a kid, it was a good idea, and then you're like, my life revolves around the kid, which is good. I love my son, for the record. So,
Oh yeah, I love my kids too, but I mean, kids are like the greatest thing to ever happen, but then they also ruin your fucking life too.
it's like, well, it's funny because you just forget with like a kid. Like I forgot, like you're supposed to teach your kid how to use like a fork. I didn't realize that. I was like, oh, I thought that was just like, basic human instinct. Like a caveman learned how to like use a stick and use it as a spear. Like I didn't realize like you're supposed to teach the kid how to like actually use the fork. I didn't know anything like that.
The worst part is with COVID right now is like you have to teach your kids everything
Yeah.
because it's all virtual. Like right now, still in St. Louis, we're all virtual.
Oh, are you really? See, we're like virtual, but then they're gonna start letting people, I think, back into schools, and then private schools. I think you can just go to like they're outside of the jurisdiction of the city. Public schools have to follow what LA says, but private schools, I think, can do whatever they want. Uh, but getting off that, let's get back to the harvesting. So the men suck, which
Men
that's kind of
suck.
like I feel like that's the theme of the world right now is that men suck, and that's kind of the theme in marijuana is men suck. They ruin it for the women. And so when it comes to harvesting, I mean, is it like, do you chop it up? Do you have to dry it out? Like, what's the steps?
Yeah, so you trim like the big leaves on the marijuana plant. You trim
Yeah.
those off. You save some of them to make your edibles and stuff. Some just go in the garbage. Uh, and then you just there's two ways. You can either trim it all up before you dry it, or you can dry it and then trim it all up. It's kind of like a user preference thing.
What do you do?
So
What's your preference?
dry it and then cut it. It's just easier to work with and stuff, and I feel like it is.
How long does it take to dry? Or are you
About
hitting it with like a hair dryer or something?
about 7 to 10 business days.
Oh, wow. Okay. I probably just
Yeah.
hit it with a hair dryer or throw it in the oven. Can you do that? Is that a
The problem with weed is you don't want it to like it starts to like break down the THC at like 350 degrees.
Oh, okay. Wow. All right. We're getting really, I didn't realize you're like super scientific. Like, the science behind this, Mark. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty impressed. And then when it comes, you chop it
Let
up,
me
you
make
dry it out.
sure. Yeah.
Oh no, go for it. Go for it. What are you gonna say?
Yeah. So, I mean, I actually, I graduated from college in 2010. And then, this year, 2020, I decided, one of the universities in St. Louis is offering like a cannabis operations program. So,
Oh wow! So you can go to school to learn how to
right,
grow
do
cannabis.
do everything. I mean, they teach you everything about, dispensaries, the industry, the plant down to, like the molecular level. It's
Really?
insane
That's
what's happened with this over the last 10 years.
that's amazing to me because when I think of like weed growing, I think of it just being like handed down from like I don't know, like father to son or gang leader to like new gang leader or drug lord hands it down to like his son who's now the new drug lord and they like know the point. It's like one of those commercials where it's like Colombian coffee, proud tradition since 1874, hand down from the San Antonio coffee makers or something like that. But nowadays it's really funny. It's like you can go to school to learn about it, but at the same time, it's still illegal in the city of St. Louis, but yet they offer classes on how to do it, which is kind of an oxymoron situation. It's kind of like we don't want you to commit a crime, but you can pay to learn how to commit the crime.
Right. And then my situation, I was just like, here's some extra student loan money. Like I can put some more money into my farming.
So you can get a
So
student loan. So you can use student loan money for cannabis classes?
yeah, it's through St. Louis University.
That's oh my god! Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like I never knew any of this existed, and that blows my mind that you can like go to college to learn how to literally grow a drug that just kind of recently became recreational legal in a few places. How much does a class cost to learn how to like start your own weed empire? What are you looking at for that?
I think I think I took out 6 grand in student loans and it's a certificate program.
Okay, and then when you like do the class, I mean, is it like home ec? Do you actually get to make some weed or smoke it or do anything with it, or is it all just like a mock trial kind of thing? Like they just bring in some like big things of oregano and kind of have you just like walk through. Because I'm thinking it's like bartending school or something. Like that's how I imagine this class is.
It's similar, but we have to grow tomatoes.
Okay, because I guess they're tomatoes and weed are kind of the same thing, or that's just the plant they went with.
I guess they both make people happy.
That's true. I mean, I don't know. It makes me. I'm Italian. That's a stereotype. It makes me very happy. And then, what's the final exam like for a class like that?
I don't even think we have one. We just have like it's all online, so it's like 8 weeks. So 2 classes a semester, one 8 week class, and another 8 week class. And I don't think there is a final exam. I think
Oh,
it's
there isn't.
all just like quizzes and shit throughout the course. That
And then, what do? You grow a tomato, and then you just like what? Take pictures of it and send it to the teacher
yeah, it's actually kind of ridiculous. You like have to take a selfie of yourself
with
with
the
your
tomato.
plants.
I mean, what's stopping me from just going to like
Home
somebody
Depot.
else's tomato plant and just taking it, like going to the neighbor's house with their tomatoes, just taking a selfie with it.
I guess it's one of those things that if you're going to school for weed, it's something you actually care about.
Yeah, I feel like if you were going to invest in weed, yeah, that would make sense. And then I would assume you pass the class, right?
Yeah, well, you don't even have to like your tomatoes could die. It doesn't matter as long as
Oh,
you
really? They
pass.
just want the money.
Right, exactly.
I mean, that's how colleges are. They don't even care. They'll pass you if you're like, well, my checking account still has enough money. And they'll be like, all right, you're good. You passed. You get a college degree. Um, that's cool. And then so you package it up. Do you have like a logo or like a brand name? Is it like Marky Mark's weed or I don't know what.
No,
No?
I know. I just put it in like mason jars, and
Okay.
that's the best way to store it, really. And I'm not selling it, obviously, so
Yeah, yeah, because that's
uh,
not legal. Yeah.
that's not legal, correct? And I don't want to lose my license or go to jail because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did it.
For the record, everyone listening to the show, he's not selling it.
Yes, don't hit me up later on looking for a 20 bag because it's not going to happen.
Yeah, not gonna happen, guys. Don't do it. So then is it just for use for like you and your dad and maybe some friends?
No, it's strictly you.
It's
Strict,
strictly oh you.
you. Sorry, my bad. Yeah,
That's
like
okay.
strictly Mark. The plants are strictly Mark's plants, and
Okay,
the
so you
weed
must
becomes
have
mine.
like, I was gonna say you must have like a ton of weed built up in your house then.
Uh, I'm not gonna give away my address or
No, no,
anything,
no, no,
but
no, 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 no. I'm just picturing you
Mhm.
like in the basement, and there's just lines and lines of mason jars of marijuana everywhere.
Yeah, I mean that's really what it comes down to. You're supposed to keep it like locked up and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want my kids getting to it, but
Well, yeah, obviously.
I mean they might be a little more fun or go to sleep earlier or something. But
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I'm surprised that hasn't been created yet, like a knockout weed spray for kids for bedtime. I'm not gonna lie, I would pay like $50,000 for one of those.
just one
Actually,
bottle.
I'd probably pay like $5 million for something like that. You just mist
Yeah,
it in front of your kid's face, and they just go right, just go right to sleep and be beautiful. So then, do you make edibles too?
yeah, I do.
What kind of
I'll
edibles
make.
do you make?
Oh, I'm a fan of like Rice Krispie treats.
Okay, okay. What does that taste like, though?
Oh, it tastes awful. Like I said earlier, I don't really like edibles. They're fucking. It's like eating a plant.
Well, I feel like the only edibles that really work, I guess, is brownies because brownies are like so heavy and you got like the fudge and the chocolate. Because that really, in reality, edibles for weed, I don't think are fancy. I think you just literally have to find something that destroys the taste of weed. And it's very hard to do because I've tried like the cookies and they taste like shit or breads or all that, and they're not even that good. Even with the mints, it's minty, but I can still taste like the shitty weed part of it. So they definitely haven't like developed the I guess like what I would consider like the clear Pepsi of weed, like the non-smelling, non-flavorful, but you still get that same high weed. And that's what we need right now because that would totally like revolutionize the whole industry.
No, I agree. They really make it. Weed makes it difficult to like try and you can't slip a brownie in someone's drink because they're gonna realize.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could. I guess you could like slip it into a milkshake or
Right,
something like
right.
that. Yeah, yeah. So then my question is this. So let's say like in the state of Missouri, because right now it's legal, I guess, for medicinal purposes. Do you know are they going to actually open it up for like recreational purposes anytime soon, or is that still like on the chopping block?
There was like an initiative this year, but COVID, like everything else, fucked it
Like
up.
destroyed it up. So then obviously I predict in probably the next like 1 or 2 years probably will become legal in St. Louis because it did in Illinois. And there's that hatred between like Chicago and St. Louis. So if Chicago's doing it, I'm pretty sure St. Louis is going to do it too. Um, and then I predict in probably like the next 5 to 10 years that the whole country is probably just going to legalize it.
Yes,
Uh,
it's really just a matter of time, man. Like,
yeah.
they'll just probably deschedule it and then just let the states make up their own rules and then
Yeah.
say, "Hey, give us some money."
Yeah, yeah, because I think that's the problem right now is there's no real federal rules on it. Because in California, I don't know if you know how it works, but in Los Angeles County, it's not like LA County gets to like determine all of the rules of your cannabis. Each neighborhood in LA County has their own set of rules. So like Beverly Hills has their own set of rules compared to like West Hollywood, compared to like Brentwood. And it's kind of a shit show because just to get a license, I think to sell it, I think off the bat it's like $50,000 a year. Uh, and then they have like all these taxes and fees on top of it that just kind of just I don't know, because here in California, if you buy weed, you get slapped with like some huge tax when you purchase it. So to me, it was like it sounded like a cool idea at first when they opened it up for like recreational use, but the government is making like a shit ton of money off of it too, which is ironic because if you are a company, I don't know if you knew this, and you're making money off of weed, you can't store the money you make off your weed sales in a bank because that's against the law. That's a federal crime. But yet
Right, right.
but yet the federal government will tax it to death, which is really interesting. But going back to my question, so if they do open up the interest, in St. Louis, they open it up. I mean, are you going to try and actually set up your own shop, or are you going to focus on just being kind of more of like a wholesaler, or what's the future like look for you, Mark?
St. Louis, well, Missouri just as a whole just has, so many rules. So you need to have 10 grand up front to just apply for a license.
Okay,
And that's
I feel like that's still not too bad compared to 50 grand here.
no, but it's 10 grand for like it's a gamble. Either you're gonna get it or you're not.
Oh, okay, so the 10 grand, but yet that's like the application fee.
Right, exactly.
Okay, yeah, I hate that. It's BS.
So yeah, I'd like to work in the industry, but I've never really wanted to be my own boss in general.
Oh, really? Okay, why is that?
Seems like a lot of fucking work.
So then is the goal is like you would just want to like grow weed and then you have like a couple of stores that just buy wholesale from you, like you're just the farmer? Or would you actually just want to get a job at like, say, here we have I think the big one's called like MedMen is like the big weed chain store. Like you would just want to be like a manager of a store or something?
Yeah, something like that where I get to interact with patients and stuff would be really, really neat.
Okay. Have you ever thought about just like moving to California or moving to, Colorado or something and pursuing that?
When I first graduated college, I thought about moving to Colorado, but then you have a kid or two and it makes
Yeah.
things impossible too. So
Well, the good thing is, eventually kids grow up. You're still young, so you can still do it. And you never know. I think the good thing is you never like tomorrow, St. Louis could easily just like open it all back up. And then you could be, raking it in like crazy.
that's the plan because I need a retirement.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm tired of work.
Yeah, because I don't know if you saw, but Jim Belushi actually just started a reality show where I guess he's growing weed, I think somewhere in Nevada right now. And I think it's on like the Discovery Channel.
Really?
Yeah, and it's really funny to me because it's interesting how like you think of it think like 10 years ago. Weed was like so looked down upon. It was considered like a lowbrow, like evil hipster, hippie, gang member, disgusting drug, like a decade ago. And now everybody's just like, oh, it's okay. And we have college classes, and now we have a reality show on the Discovery. I think the Discovery Network, I'm thinking like nature and lions and tigers and bears, oh my. But now I got like Jim Belushi, the, failed comedian. And it's literally like, I don't know how you can have a show about growing weed, but it's interesting to me how the culture of weed just went from one day being like considered terrible to now it's like, oh no, like it's fine. And
Yeah,
I mean, what are your thoughts? I mean, why do you think it's like that?
it just all happened really fast too. It seems
Yeah.
like it was like
Yeah.
one day I was buying 20 bags on the corner. The next day a shop's open across the street where I could just go pay absurd amounts of money for something I could get from the kid next door.
Yeah, and the funny thing is when you think about that, there was no like historical moment that set that up. Like it'd be different if like the president was dying and then someone like saved him using weed. They're like, here, inhale this, Mr. President. You've been saved, Mr. Obama. And then he was like, I'm gonna make weed legal because it saved my life. Like there was no real moment to where people were like, weed is good. I think it just literally was like, nope, we sell weed now and anybody can buy it.
It's funny that you bring up Obama because I think whenever he was asked if he ever smoked weed and they asked if he inhaled, he was like, yeah, isn't that the point?
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that. It's like, remember when Bill Clinton went through the same thing and he's like, I did not inhale the weed.
Right.
He's like, but I did get a blowjob in the Oval Office and it was awesome. I don't know. I feel like today they should just own up to it. If I was a politician, I would just own it. I'd be like, yeah, I got a blowjob and I smoked weed at the same time in the Oval Office. You fuckers know that you would want to do the same thing. So don't act like I'm a bad person because that's like every 21-year-old's dream.
I guess once you hit 35 and you can actually run for president, you just become a little more responsible. I'm not going to say responsible.
No, I'm not responsible. No. If I was responsible, like, why am I having an episode talking about how to start a weed
empire,
a weed empire conglomerate? But it's just weird how like the culture's changed because everybody's just like so accepting of it. And I guess I don't even know what the more hated drug is nowadays. Like even cocaine, like nobody really even talks about that. Like I wouldn't be surprised in like 15 or 20 years if people were just like, oh yeah, cocaine's fine too now. Because it was like bad in the 80s and you don't hear about it anymore. So I feel like that might be like on the docket next is like you'll get to go to your like local cocainery.
If they find some medical value in it, anything's possible.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was trying to think about it going into this episode. I was like, I wonder what's like the outlawed drug right now. Because I mean, you were a '90s kid, right?
Yeah.
I was a '90s kid, and remember we had like Dare and all those like anti-drug things, and like all these drugs were bad. I remember they went through like everything, like it was like meth and cocaine and weed, and now it's like glorified. Like Breaking Bad pretty much saved the meth industry. They made meth like cool again. I don't smoke meth. I never will. But at the same time, there are those moments when I'm at a kid's candy store with my son and I'm like, maybe I'm going to buy some blue rock candy and live out some sort of weird fantasy Walter White thing in my living room while my son watches Mickey Mouse. I don't know,
They were selling toys at Toys R Us like a Jesse Pinkman and Walt figurines that came with like a bag of blue meth.
Really?
Like fake meth, obviously, but
yeah. But still, again, it's funny. Like people outlaw like fake candy cigarettes. Like those are bad, but you can go to the store and get a Walter White pretend like easy bake oven pretend meth kit. And that's how weird our society has turned on. I think the key is if you, and this is for all my listeners out there, if you want to make something cool, you have to bring it to Hollywood. They make a TV show or a movie out of it. That's how you get your item cool. And then if it blows up, you'll be able to do it. I think that's the trick, right?
Is that what they tried with that Cuties movie on Netflix? Because that's fucking awful.
Wait, what was the Cuties movie?
Are you not familiar with that?
Wait, which one was that? Remind me.
It's like a French film, but it like all these like little kids in it, and it was like a big deal a couple weeks ago on Netflix.
Wait, what are the kids doing though? I don't think I've seen this one.
It's like all about like, I guess like the kids are being like, I don't even want to say it. They're just being like sluts.
Really? That's terrible.
But yeah, it's like this weird like child sex trafficking film that everyone's really up in arms about. Like, yeah, look it up. It was fucking insane.
I'll have to check that out. Yeah, usually like foreign movies, if they have subtitles, it's kind of hard because I'm like, I'm one of those people like I have to focus like reading the subtitles and then I like have to lift my eyes up to like see what's happening in the movie and then look back down again. So I'm really shitty with subtitles. And that's just for the record, but I'll definitely check it out. It's hard because I know like Netflix comes out with like 5,000 new movies like every day. So I'll see if I can find that one. But our time is kind of coming to an end here, Mark. Thanks for coming on the show, dude. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, it was nice to catch up a little bit.
Yeah, it's good to catch up. It's good to hear that. Like, I mean, you're doing good, right? I mean, it sounds like you are. You're a family man. You've got a weed empire that's just ready to explode.
Right. And, just working and schooling and smoking, man.
Yeah. Any last thoughts to my listeners out there when it comes to the cannabis industry?
Yeah, one thing I wanted to mention is, whenever I went to college, like all these people that have never tried it, and man, just go out and try it once.
Yeah.
It might change your fucking life.
Yeah, it's funny. It's just how like the media played it up so bad because I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really try it until probably, maybe a year ago. And here's a funny story. Because we'll keep going. It's my show. I can go as long as I fucking want. Here's a funny story. So my parents are from St. Louis. They're Midwestern parents. Never done a drug in their life. So my dad has arthritis in his hands because, he's in his 70s now. He's getting up there. And so he's tried everything. He's tried like the Bengay. I think they tried to even give him like you can get like a numbing shot in your hands, right? So they tried all these medical things and it didn't work. So my dad comes to visit me in California and, I have a weed store. Literally, they're always within like a half a block to a mile away from me. And I'm like, Dad, let's go check it out and see if they've got something for your hands. So we go to the store and he finds like a balm, like a I don't know, like a balm kind of, what balm is, right? Like it has like
right.
Yeah. So he gets that, puts it on his hands. I kid you not. He says 5 seconds, pain is gone. Pain is gone. And that only costs, I think, like $90 compared to probably the like hundreds and hundreds of like bullshit insurance medical crap. Because the medical industry here is a nightmare. And then it was my parents who got like into weed first, ironically, and then pulled me into it, which was really funny because then my mom got on board and she's like, well, I need something to help me like sleep at night. What do they have for that? And then she got something. And then I was like, well, I have those days where I'm kind of feeling anxious or I just need to like chillax at night. I was like, I'll get something too. So it's funny. Like I don't have like a cool weed story. Mine is literally like my parents got into it. And then I was peer pressured by my parents to also partake in cannabis.
Yeah, that's funny because my mom like was so against it. And now she'll be like, oh, you're crabby. Go smoke some weed.
Yeah, it's funny how people now, it's like they look down upon it, but once they try it, and I don't mean like try it like, I'm not telling people to like go out there and like get blazed, and ride like the Rainbow Road and then you come out of a coma in a week. But go try like one of those like, it's like a little THC with CBD, like just try like 1 milligram, see what happens. For legal reasons for this show, I will tell you that you can do that on your own. I'm not telling people to do it, but it is your choice. But if you have some free time, maybe give it a go. You never know. So, but with that, any other final thoughts, Mark?
No, man. Thanks for having me, for sure.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show, dude. I really appreciate it. For all my listeners out there, remember, if you ever want to be on the Nimble Urban Survivor podcast, feel free to contact me through my website at www.catellicomedy.com. If you have a topic you want to talk about, or you just want to be a guest, let me know. Also, guys, I know that there are lots of amazing podcasts out there you could be listening to, so I really appreciate that you took the time to listen to mine. So, guys, remember, if you feel a little bit blue or you're anxious about surviving, hit up Mark, hit up myself, and, just give it a try. Am I right, Mark?
Yeah, I can always use more friends.
That's right. And me too. You can never have enough friends. And we we mean like real in-person friends, not Facebook friends. All right. Good night, everybody. Thanks so much.